Okay, you need to bring it to me.
It's on everybody's mind.
What happened? Hey,
Hello.
our intro just completely cut off. What happened there?
I don't know.
Okay then. See, I asked my tech guy, he doesn't know. Welcome to Relationship Rehab. I am Lee.
I'm Paul. Hello.
And I was about to write a note
Oh,
before
no.
I just decided to take off 10 seconds of music.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
I actually do keep notes because that's what I do. And of course, now my co-host is gone. Yeah, we're moving slow. We're moving slow, and we don't know what's up with that. Hello, Miss Stephanie. I'm going to assume that is Cougar Mama herself. And not another MMTVN Stephanie, because that would be really confusing.
Yes, it would.
Let's see. So, Paul and I write the provocative, raw, funny coupledom.com. I find all of those adjectives very funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we tend to be provocative. We tend to say things that other people usually only say after a few drinks. But that's the way we are.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I'm messing with our lighting.
I know. And now I'm like, holy Lord, if my eyes weren't black, you wouldn't be able to see me. Paul, I'm half of my face is...
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. I'm a little... Hey guys, I have no electricity and can't be here for... okay. No problem. Have fun, Stephanie. We're in the middle of a storm here, so...
Yeah, we'll see
we
how long
may
ours
or may
lasts.
not... No problem. We may or may not survive the storm.
Right.
I mean, we'll survive it, but the show might not. But we're going to carry on.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. Let's see. Anything up?
I don't know. It's been a hell of a week.
It's been a tough week.
Yeah.
A perfect week for us.
This is true.
Because today's topic is on adversity and dealing with problems and crises and all that good stuff. So
Like having no electricity.
yeah, things like that. Things that have happened, business stuff that has not fallen through but sort of fallen through.
Yeah.
Monies we thought we were getting, we're not getting.
Mm-hmm.
Monies that we didn't know we were getting, might be getting. Dealing with, children's stuff. Our daughter put in her first application to college, which is
kind of a big deal for us.
just, who cares?
A little bit.
Kind of a big deal. And even though it's not a school she wants to go to, it's just there.
They were hounding her.
Yeah.
And they
So
kind of
proud.
offered...
They offered, it was a sweet deal,
Yes.
so we were like, okay, what the hell, we'll apply.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because all we had to do was basically just sign the form, and then they filled out everything else beforehand, so it was great. But yeah, I mean, things like that, and dealing with the unexpected, dealing with, it's the beginning of the year. You're out of your groove, you're out of your funk.
Okay, I do have to ask Stephanie. She's saying that she's been out without a power since 5 p.m. Why? I mean, you live in a first world country. Last time I checked, why are you without power? I mean, that just is, because and she's
gone.
Really without power.
Wow.
Wow.
That sucks. Well, being that we live in Miami,
Right.
we know what it is to be
Sorry,
without
we live
power.
in a third world country.
We do live in a third,
second.
a tropical nation, or
Yes.
as people around here get really pissed when you call it a banana republic, but that's exactly what it is. It's like everybody in our politics down here in Miami has been indicted at least once.
Yeah.
Name one who hasn't. And in fact, there's a local, there's a city in Miami-Dade County called Hialeah that elected their mayor while he was doing a prison term.
Yeah, he was in the pokey.
Not jail. Not jail. He was in prison.
Yeah.
He was doing a prison term for being a fraud and all that good stuff. But
he was going to get out before he had to start serving, so he was good.
Yeah.
And they
So-
actually elected him.
They elected him. Not only that, I think they elected him another time after that.
Uh-huh.
Then he tried running
Yeah.
for like mayor of all of Miami-Dade County, and luckily that was a big no.
Yeah.
Some people actually stood up and said, "I don't think so."
Yeah. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like, okay, listen, you've already been hit for fraud.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Hmm.
point is, I get it. The point is, he gets it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, we get storms here. In
Mhm.
fact, with the hurricane going up, I mean, with Earl, we've had, even though we didn't get any of the Earl weather, we get
Right.
all the offshoots of the weather. So
Mhm.
all week long, we've been having these great torrential rains and, you know, and lights flickering or whatever, and that's normal here. So, yeah, 6 months out of the year,
Uh-huh.
that's normal.
That's right.
And every
Yeah.
now and then, you have to board up and,
Mhm.
you know, wait for the hurricanes to come, and
Yes.
and most of the times they don't. And I'll be honest about that, they don't. It's a lot of hurry up, get ready, wait, and nothing happens.
I hate the whole hurricane
Yeah.
thing.
We prefer earthquakes.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to move back to California.
Mhm. Give me an
Yeah.
earthquake any day.
Just hit me, let me clean up, and we're
That's
done.
right. Uh-huh.
It sounds bad, doesn't it?
It does.
That
but
sounds
that's
really
just
bad.
the way
I
it
mean,
is. Yeah.
but that's, you know, and it actually goes to the talk of adversity, because when we talk about, like, you know, abuse and whatnot, what's worse than abuse than actually getting physically abused is being threatened.
Mhm.
And the threats that we are living under right now in this country, you know, this constant threat that, okay, any second now you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose everything you've
Right.
ever worked
your house,
for,
your job, your
yeah,
freedom.
your freedom, everything like that. Living like that is torture, and I think that people are feeling it, you know. And it's like, if you're on one side of the political coin, you are wondering what the hell's going on,
Mm-hmm.
wondering why is, you know, the other side so freaked out, and where's all this fear coming from. And yeah, you know, we've been in economic crisis before, but why is this one any different?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the other side that is catastrophizing and doom and glooming, and so much so that it's almost like overtaking the conversation. And we might think that I mean, like, even people who are like, oh, I'm not really political, and even if politics mean nothing to you, and quite honestly, you know, Paul and I we're not, you know, majorly political.
Right.
You know, we have been in the past, and quite frankly, at this point in our lives, and because we've chosen to live a more relaxed lifestyle,
Mhm.
we don't get that involved.
Right.
But even if you're not, you're still affected by the threatening conversation.
Oh yeah.
And because there is a
Which is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not. You'd have to live in a cave to
to
not
not
see
notice that. And you know, even bumper stickers
it. Mm-hmm.
are more threatening than they used to be. And we're living right now in a time of crises. I think man-made crises.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it's coming from anywhere but our own fear.
Right.
Yeah, you know, economic crisis. Oh yeah, things are really shitty. Oh, absolutely. You know, and at the same time, not really. So, yeah, I don't know.
So,
So,
a side note on that is when you'll hear throughout this whole, this next hour, pretty much all crises
crises.
are of our own making.
Right.
Okay, that's kind of going to be a theme here.
Right. I mean, and it's just, I mean, right now, what, you know, it's like, one of the things that they say, it's like, you don't yell fire in a crowded movie house.
Right.
Well, right now, we have a lot of people yelling fire.
Mm-hmm.
And there might have been a little smoldering, maybe a little, you know, smoke here and there, maybe even a couple of flames here and there, but not enough to panic. And that's what a lot of people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back historically, and you know, as therapists, we tend to, when you're in school and whatever, you study a lot about the social influence, okay? And right now, I mean, if you go back into history, the whole depression, the crash of '29 and all that was caused by panic. Wasn't necessarily. I mean, what's happened here, the reason why our stock market has not. I mean, it has dipped crazily and all that stuff. The reason why it hasn't necessarily completely crashed is because you have what do you call those, fail safes put in place for people who tend to panic. And panicking is a reaction, a reaction to stress, and a reaction to, and this is not, I mean, I want to be really clear about this conversation. This is not a political conversation.
No.
I don't really give a crap what you believe in. If you believe in, if you're a Democrat, great. If you're, Paul and I right now are nothing because we've decided they're all full of shit. So, but, there is something I'm definitely against, and those are panicking people. And the reason why is because I think it's irresponsible. And I see this not as just a regular voter. I see this as a human being and a mom, and it's like, don't be panicking and cause a stampede because I got my children here.
Right.
That's really where I'm coming from. Am I,
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a big deal conversation, and I know it's very hot, and it's like with the things that happened in Washington last weekend with Glenn Beck and all those people, and if you read our blog at all, I mean, I've been quite vocal about this guy because I think he's really completely full of crap, and he's a fearmonger, and I don't like fearmongers at all.
Right.
It's like I like hopeful people, and
Well,
I mean, that's just a general rule for me.
Right. We talk about, what is the purpose of your conversation? That is always a bottom line thing. So we look at that and go, okay, what is the purpose of what he's doing?
The dogs are knocking over all of Paul's stuff because they were outside and running around in the rain. Because you see, okay, there's a great reaction. You have rain, and we just had a really big storm just go through here like a few minutes ago. We have two dogs, and one dog goes out there and she barks and runs in the rain through the whole storm.
Right, barks at the sky.
Barks at the sky, waves her little pop and like, damn you, all that. And she just exhausts herself, and she is soaked to the bone, and she loves it.
Yeah.
The other one comes inside. I mean, he usually gets a little bit wet because he wants to know what's going on. And then he comes inside and he hides.
Yeah.
And he sits on our feet, and he's shaking,
Right.
and
He
he's
looks
freaked
worried.
out. Yeah, and he just looks generally concerned. I mean, his little brows furrow and all that. And he hides, and he's afraid. And what it is actually a very normal response to stress. It is called fight or flight.
Right. And we have one of each.
And yeah, we have one dog who is our sympathetic dog, which is the fight. That's your sympathetic, nervous response is your fight. And then the other one is the flight, which is your parasympathetic response. And this is normal brain function, I mean, some people function more in one than the other. I am definitely more the fight. And yours is definitely more...
I'm more of a flight.
He's more of a flight. Now, that doesn't mean you run away. Now, one of the things, like when we were advertising for the show, it's like, do you stay or do you go? That's fight or flight. When you're in the middle of adversity, fight or flight. Now, saying that you're running away doesn't mean that you're actually leaving.
Leaving, right.
Okay? Flight can also be scapegoating. Flight can also be sitting there and not saying anything.
Right. Just
Because
shutting down.
Shutting down completely. When we talk... Is that your phone?
Yeah, go ahead.
When we're talking about adversity, I mean, let's pick anything right now. Since today's topic in our blog was more political, what's happening is that you have one side of the coin when, you know, saying that it's someone's fault.
Right.
Everything is someone's fault.
Mhm.
I mean, like, everything that's happening right now is one person's fault.
Right.
Which, if you dissect it, if you take 3 steps back from the situation, just sounds incredibly naive and stupid. I mean, how can a whole nation,
Mhm.
really, how can a whole nation of, 600 million people, all be at the mercy of one person?
Right.
One person, of course, that it's an elected official
Mhm.
that, we voted for, and that's, who's in there, and that person is at fault for everything.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Right. In a system that prides itself on having a check and balance system.
Right. The fact that we have
Yeah.
three branches of the
Right.
government, and this one person did it all.
Yeah.
That's
That
really
really doesn't quite make
that
sense.
is the epitome of scapegoating.
Right.
And now, and then people use the word a lot,
Mhm.
and the origin of the word is really sad. I mean, we use it a lot in therapy, because actually there's a whole, in family therapy, it's actually a role that people play in the family. But a scapegoat, there were villages in Europe where once a year, and this was a religious holiday, they would take a goat and they would pin on the goat all of their sins. Like, I had an affair, I stole a chicken, whatever. And they'd write these sins down and they'd pin it on the goat.
Mhm.
And then they would just make the goat go away.
Right. Free it.
Free it, and it would be sent away, and there would go your sins, and happy, happy, happy. If they found the goat out there, the goat would be killed immediately. There would be, no reprieve. It's not like they're going to take the sins off and take it back. But, they felt that the goat, now, obviously, the goat being, the goat has been like a symbol for the devil and shit like that. So you have, in other words, the sins were being fed to the devil.
Mm.
So that's where scapegoats came from. Scapegoats carry our sins. Scapegoats have to carry the load, have to carry the burden.
And they take the responsibility off of us.
And they take complete responsibility off of us because we put all of our blame onto them.
Mm-hmm.
So in a family, when you're doing family therapy, when someone does family therapy, you look for, and if a family is in dysfunction, which they usually are, but like when they're like in severe dysfunction, you look for who's the scapegoat, who's the one taking all the blame.
Right.
And usually you'll find that it's either, it's usually one of the kids that's pulling all the focus, or one of the parents, obviously. I mean, it can be either or.
Right.
It's going to be the pet or something like that. But they're the ones that suck up. I mean, it's almost as if they suck up all the light in the room, because nobody wants to be seen. So even though as an outsider I could look at a family and go, okay, well, you're all messed up, they're always going to point the finger to the same person. And it's like, and they would be called the but for person. Okay, but for this person, we would be a happy family. But for this president, we would be a great nation. But for this human being in our lives, we would be happy again. And that is the definition of a scapegoat. Or you call somebody a whipping boy. A whipping boy, you would have a prince, and when the prince was, like usually like younger, if they did anything wrong, they would have some sort of peasant or something like that be his whipping boy. In other words, if the prince did something wrong, the peasant would get whipped. Yeah.
You can't really.
Because you can't hit a prince. So you had to hit somebody else.
Yeah.
But somebody had to get hit. So instead of us taking the hit, you give it to somebody else. And the whole point of talking about adversity this week in the blog is really manyfold. One, we are a country in adversity right now.
Right.
2, it's affecting relationships on a global scale.
Mm-hmm.
The divorce rate has gone down. However, the abuse rate has skyrocketed.
Because we're also a culture of scapegoating.
Yeah. So, in relationships, as let's say husband and wife, when the shit hits the fan, what happens? You turn on each other.
Right.
Okay? And this is where the fight or flight comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are I don't want one to sound better than the other, but in this case it might be. If you are, let's say your husband comes home, he just lost his job. If he is, let's say that his normal reaction is to fight,
Mm-hmm.
then he would probably start out by blaming the
Like the company.
the company,
Right.
the bosses,
Right.
the irresponsible bosses, and then with their big fat paychecks and shit
Mhm.
like that. So you have, all this ranting about those people.
Right.
And then let's say, I'm trying to
Free-floating anger.
yeah. And then you have the wife who's sitting there and she's starting to calculate, like, okay, you lost your job, we have this much money, blah, blah, blah. How long is it going to take before we are living in a box on the street?
Mm-hmm.
And, she could say something as innocuous as, well, I hope you can find another job.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be enough to start the focus on her.
On her, right.
And then they start fighting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's say that they could make up, but then that nugget of fear is already planted. Okay? Is he going to be able to get a job? Well, let's say he can get unemployment, and they tighten their belts, but still, it's getting tougher.
Right.
And it's looking for a job, and pretty soon what's going to end up happening, because they have that fear, and a lot of couples are doing this now, and a lot of couples do this even when they're not in crisis, is that at the moment any fear pops up in their emotional system, they attack each other.
Right.
And this is not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
This is extremely common in relationships.
See, it's no matter what, it's always the fight or flight response. The question is, who's the focus of it?
Right.
Are you fighting with your partner? Are you retreating from your partner? If the moment that they become the focus, then the response is against them, which
Right.
is one of the problems.
And usually we tend to make them the focus because it's safer for us.
Right.
If you're married, they're not going anywhere for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to take the hits. And, based on previous outings and forays into the fighting world, you'll make it up. You'll make up, and
Right.
it's okay. It's safer to fight with your spouse.
Right.
So that's what we tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to put on a good front for the kids, a good front for the family. Oh, no, we're fine. We're weathering this, no problem. And the moment you get behind closed doors, it's like, did you see your mother? Did you see how she was looking at me? And like I'm a lowlife because I can't get a job and blah, 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 blah. And then the fighting begins.
Right.
Because that's where you feel safest. And it's like you feel safe to attack.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, in most cases, that, your spouse isn't going anywhere, so I'll go ahead and do that.
Right.
And the reason why the abuse rate's going up is because the amount of stress that we are under right now is a lot. It's a lot of stress that people are under right now, whether it's economic or, just regular family stress. And because we don't feel like we have a way out, a lot of people, divorce rates go down when there's economic crisis because getting divorced is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
not because of any,
Right.
oh, let's
Mm-hmm.
fight through all this crap, and we
It's
could do this.
expensive, and you're also in a I'm screwed mentality. So if I leave, then where would I go?
Yeah,
I'm
It's like-
screwed. I'd just be more screwed.
right. It's like, who's going to be with me?
Right.
Because you're already
Yeah.
in fear.
Right.
The idea of being alone and in fear
Mhm.
is more frightening than anything
Right.
else.
Yeah. I'll be with this loser as opposed to just being by myself.
Right. And a lot of people are doing that right now. And I'm not saying that people should be getting divorced. I am of the opinion that people get divorced way too easily.
Mhm.
That the fight or flight response that people have is that, when things go bad, instead of working through things, it's easier just to leave and keep trying it. And when you see somebody who's a serial divorcee, if they've been divorced more than once,
Mhm.
there's a lot of
You're
that. I'm not willing to work this crap out anymore. And sometimes you pick people just because it's not going to last. And that is a whole show unto
Yes,
itself.
right. That's
isn't
something. Yep. So when we're talking about adversity, all of these things we're talking about is because adversity elicits fear. Just pretty much that's across the board. And you react to fear. You work from fear when you're in adversity. Now, one of the issues is when you don't know that you're doing it. Now, when you don't know that everything that you're doing is
A reaction.
is a reaction to fear.
Mhm.
One of the best ways, I'm going to give you a thing. First thing, one of the best ways to handle a adverse crisis, some type of crisis, is not to get into the crisis. If you want to have, if you're worried, if you don't want to have to worry about money when you lose your job, then when you still have a job, you should be having money. The reason I'm saying this pretty obvious statement is because this also works emotionally. If you don't want to worry when you're in crisis, then you have to learn how to not worry when you're not in crisis. Does that make sense? No?
He's so clear the way he describes things.
There was a reason I was saying that
I
too.
don't
I said there's a reason why I went to that point, and now
Did
I
everybody
lost it.
notice when I just lost it, went somewhere else, found my nails more interesting? No. It's true. It's like, saving for a rainy day
Mhm.
is what it is. We tend to the only times that we take care of ourselves is when we're sick.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
that's the example.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best example of what
Mhm.
trying to explain what he's talking about. Instead of maintaining a wellness type of lifestyle, eating healthy, taking your vitamins, doing shit like that, taking a walk every now and then, we only take care of ourselves when we're sick.
Right.
And even then, we're not so hot at that.
Mhm.
Present company included. Actually, I take better care of myself when I'm not sick.
That's true. Yes. You
When
do.
I'm not sick, I'm pretty
Mhm.
good. The moment I get sick, something else kicks in,
Mhm.
and I definitely fight it.
That's where I was going with all of this. Once
Definitely
you
fight
get
it.
into that fear response,
Yeah.
it's real hard to see what you need to do. It's real hard to notice that I am working from fear.
Right.
If you haven't trained yourself, basically, if you haven't trained yourself in the time when you didn't have fear, so
Right.
that you can compare the two. Right? So that you know what fear feels like.
I'm sorry, I'm having some revelations about myself right now.
Okay, then reveal.
No, it's true. I am probably one of the worst patients in the world. Not probably. No, I'm not the worst.
No.
But I'm not good. I know that.
Our daughter is pretty much up there with you.
Yeah. The moment I get sick, the moment something tries to sideline me in any way, whether it's a broken bone, and I'm saying this because I've experienced this, or fever or anything like that, I completely rebel against it. I
Give an example.
I'll give an example. We'd been married like 2 or 3 months, and I went horseback riding. And as we got on the horses, we're like, they're taking us through the little like metal thingies to go out and ride. And this was in Valencia, California, next to Magic Mountain, way back in the day, 1989, and it probably doesn't even exist anymore. Probably just a bunch of like tract housing now.
Yes, right, condos, something
Condos.
like that.
But anyway, it was a great place to ride horses because it wasn't trail, and the horses would actually run. Yeah. And we liked going there, And so I get on this horse. It was a really nice horse. As we're in the thing, the horses start getting spooked. My horse goes up and throws me, and almost stomps on me. And I land on my side. I got hurt, but the moment that I got hurt, immediately it's like something just snaps in my brain. I jump up and say, "I'm fine." I get back on the horse, and I ride that son of a bitch for 2 hours.
Yes.
Same one who threw me, I rode him for 2 hours.
That's a combination right there of stubborn and shock.
That is complete shock. I was in complete shock. I mean, I probably had a concussion, and who knows. It's not like back then you wore like helmets or pads or anything when you were riding a horse. And I'm talking 22 years ago. 21 years ago. Anyway, so still in shock that night. We go out to dinner. I remember we were with our family, not feeling well. I don't know why. Next day, really not feeling well. And I finally agreed, maybe you should take me to the emergency room. In the emergency room, I had such incredible pain in my shoulder. They're like, "Oh, you probably just sprained your shoulder." And that's all I could feel. Long story short, by the end of the week, I realized I had, through x-rays and whatnot, I realized I had broken my wrist and separated my shoulder. And that was, for me, that was just, and it was my right arm. So, and as a right-handed person, that pretty much took me out of the game for everything. And, I drove a stick shift car, the whole bit. So, so here I am at home, completely trussed up because my shoulder had to be bandaged, my hand was casted, and so I'm at home. So of course, what do I want to do? Clean the floor.
Now I have to throw in. Okay, my wife does many things around the house. Okay, mopping is not one of hers.
Never has been.
I usually do the mopping. She's not a big mopper.
No. Vacuum. I mean, I vacuumed. I mopped. I was cleaning under refrigerators.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing to do, and that.
And you were trying to prove something.
No, wait. Listen.
Okay.
Listen. You see, let me get to the revelation.
Okay. Get to the revelation.
No, but I come from a family, from both sides of the family, that are pretty much workaholics.
Definitely.
I have one grandfather that died within a year of not working. Because, it's like he stopped working, began having dementia, and then died. It was like really, really fast. The moment that, "Oh, sorry, dude, you can't work anymore," and he was already like 82 when they did that. And, within the year he died. I have, my parents, who my dad's already in his 70s and he still works, because that's what he likes and that's what he's used to. My mom, who doesn't have a job or anything, but carries on the amount of stress and as if she had like 2 or 3 full-time jobs.
As if she was a CEO of a Fortune 500.
I know. And it's like, I got to do all these things and I got to juggle all these things and I don't, because they enjoy that. When I was younger, they had businesses and they worked, like 100+ hours a week. That's what I was raised with. So the moment that I'm taken out of commission, I feel useless. And this is the revelation part. That's that feeling of uselessness. And if you're useless, then you don't get to, as my grandfather would say, it's like, if you don't work, you don't eat. And that's really the kind of mentality I was raised with. You have to contribute to be able to partake. And so the moment that I'm useless, I react like that. The moment that I'm taken out of a game, whether by illness or a broken bone or whatever, I feel useless. And because I feel useless, I feel like I'm not contributing. Therefore, I can't be part of the family.
Mm.
And if I can't be part of the family, then I'd rather not exist.
Wow.
And see, that's therapy for you.
That's right.
That's some good ass therapy for you. This is. I don't expect other people to be able to do this like we do, because we've been doing this a very long time. I've been a therapist for 23 years, and we've had a lot of therapy, and being able to